possible roster changes could come over the break. I did not expect that we'd hear about it less than 12 hours later, as reportedly the Chicago Sky are finalizing a trade that would send Marina Mabrey to the Connecticut Sun. Me and Steve are going to break it all down, talk about why this could be going down and more right after this.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Haize.
I got to get that intro changed. It still just says my name. I haven't really paid attention to that all season until just now. I got to get that changed. It's like all three of us on the show now. With that said, what's going on, Sky fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Sky Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related. Evo, this literally is just breaking. This just got posted about 10 minutes ago that the Chicago Sky are finalizing a trade to send Marina Mabrey to the Connecticut Sun. Now, before we get talking about this, I want to talk about the whys that this could happen. Keep in mind, the Sun are a team that are trying to contend. So the Sky aren't going to get back any great talent for this. But the reason why this could be going down, Steve, and you can let me know how you feel about this. I know that the Sky have been contending for a playoff spot. I want to see them make the playoffs. But with the Dallas Wings owning the right to swap picks with the Chicago Sky, but right now the Wings pick, they have the worst record in the WNBA. Could the Sky be looking at this and saying this is their chance to go ahead, trade Mabrey, still see the young players compete, but maybe get worse and have a lottery pick next year to where they can pick in the top 4 or 5 instead of making the playoffs? What do you think about that, Steve?
Yeah, that was kind of like my whole thought process when I first seen it, because I was like, huh? We trying to get the one threat at 3 that we really have. We trying to get rid of that when we need 3-point shooting. So yeah, like this only a move to try to get worse so you can get an actual draft pick that's worth of value, because like you said, it don't look like we're going to get that pick because they're going to immediately swap, because they don't look like they're going to get any better. Satu don't look like she's returning anytime soon. But yeah, it makes sense. It's a business move for sure, and I think that's what we've been in. That's what happens when you're in the rebuilding stage. You see a lot of more business moves more than basketball logic moves.
Yeah, and I know this is going to come by. This probably going to upset some Sky fans. I know a lot, especially with Marina Mabrey definitely being in a down year, that a lot of Sky fans may celebrate this. But I'm here to tell everybody that if they're trading Marina Mabrey into the Sun at that, you're not getting great talent back. They're the second best team per record in the WNBA right now, so they're not looking to just give up some really big talent. This is more likely the Sun taking advantage of absorbing Marina Mabrey's contract. They're going to send some pieces back, which the Sky could use, especially with depth. That may be why the Sky have not signed a player, because now they have that open roster spot. They can take an additional player on top of the matching of Marina Mabrey with that too. What's up, son?
And with her being like one of the most, she's like at this point, I think she's what, 4th or 5th as one of the most expensive contracts in the league, or top paid in the league at that. So I know that was probably a piece they're looking at as well, because she, like you said, she's one of the most highest earners in the league. So alongside with that, you get rid of that. On top of that, you can make an extra spot, which we still have that makes it like we have 2 spots where we can address it honestly. So yeah, like we're gonna take a turn for the worse because of this move.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is too is that this is, and I even hear like Summer here saying that this is a dumb trade. Like, here's the thing though, is that you see the Sky, we're struggling right now to stay at the 8th seed. And with this team being younger, make no mistake, Marina Mabrey is a good player, despite her slump, but she doesn't fit the timeline. If the Sky do trade Marina Mabrey and they end up with a top 5 pick of their own pick, let's say, I'm not even going the page in this, but let's say you get Olivia Miles out of Notre Dame. She's averaging almost a triple-double. That's worth, I'm sorry, that fits the timeline of Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Kennedy Carter, and yeah, you finish the rest of the 14 games left, or the 18 games left on the season. They're 16 games. We're gonna struggle, but the long-term implications of that is that you have another foundational young piece that is going to fit your timeline for this rebuilding team. So it's not every deal right now is going to be to make this team better right now. You got to think the long run. They're trying to build something sustainable. And Marina Mabrey, I hate to tell you guys, as good as she is and as much as she does and has talked positively about Angel Reese and Carmela Cardoso, there's a highly unlikely that Marina at 27 was going to end up staying with the Chicago Sky at the end of her deal, which I think it ends at the end of next season. So you got to look at that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, it's strictly we trying to build for the future move. Like you said, it's very hard to at her age at being 27 years old, she's in her prime or entering her prime. It's very difficult to say that she's probably gonna sit on this team a good 2 to 3 years if we resign her after that. For us to become a realistic contender. And who's to say she even wants to deal with that? So that's probably why she's okay with this move happening. Like you said, she's going to one of the best teams over there. She's going to be playing with Diana. I think that's another reason why they're trying to get this playing. Diana is starting to show her age, and she's starting to become a little bit of injury prone. So having somebody else that can give up that same volumes of shots as a Diana is smart on their part. So it's a future move. I try to tell people, like, don't try to look at this year as something we can win right now, because unfortunately they're just not reasonable in the first year of a rebuild. So it's a future move. It is what it is. When the trade actually goes down, we see what we get from it. I'm excited to see what happens with that. But yeah, it's a future move.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I get it. Like, it sucks. And like, so often in sports, we think about the right now, and I understand that. But this is a move, like I said, that makes sense for a lot of reasons for the Chicago Sky. Now, we'll wait to see what the actual deal is going to be. But if they're finalizing it, we'll probably be back live here. I'm guessing the WNBA, you don't hear it usually. Once you hear that somebody's finalizing something, it usually comes down pretty quickly. So we'll see. We don't know exactly, Brooklyn. They're finalizing it. We don't have the exact deal. We'll see what happens with this, man. But yeah, Marina Mabrey and Carrington on the same team, considering how they got into it in both games early in the season, is going to be funny. After we just traded Kalia Copper as well to the Mercury with Sophia Cunningham, who she's hated for the last 3 years. It's all funny, bro. It's all funny, man.
It's funny. It's storylines, though. Great storylines for the league, for sure.
Yeah, that's a fact. So we'll see what happens, and what continues. And I see pushing pieces. Don't nobody want Dana. I do think that people could want Dana. Now, you're not getting anything great back for it at all, but we'll see, man. This is going to be an interesting now trade deadline for the Chicago Sky, and I'm guessing they probably want to get it done with the break so they can focus on what they need to work on and develop it over the break. We'll see. So
yeah. It is what it is.
Oh, let me clarify this too, Rob. So we gave up first round picks. This year's pick to Dallas was a pick swap, meaning that Dallas has the right to swap their own first round pick with the Sky and get whichever one is the better of the picks. But with the Dallas Wings having the worst record in the WNBA right now, it now means that they're probably not going to pick with the Sky, even if let's say the Sky somehow don't win another game the rest of the season. You're still, even if the Dallas Wings switch with you, you're probably still going to have a top 3 or 4 or 5 pick. So the Sky are looking at this as an opportunity. Initially coming into the season, the Dallas Wings looked like a team that were going to also be competing for a playoff spot. So the Sky had no benefit to tank. Now, with how the season is gone, with 16 games left in the season, we now see that the Dallas Wings suck. So it's changed some things for this team for sure. So. Yep. I want to look at something real quick. I'm going to look and see what I'm going to look up the Connecticut Sun and what draft picks they have that they could be sending the way of the Chicago Sky in a trade like this, just so we can kind of get an idea of what may be on the table here. Because I think Marina Mabrey is going to get you a first back in a lot of ways. Like at the minimum, I would think that's going to be the case. Let's see what we have here. Got to wait till does Spotrac not list pending picks for WNBA teams? That's frustrating. Spotrac got to get this WNBA coverage better, because I could go on here for an NBA team to see all this shit. Let's go here. Give me 1 second. Draft picks. All right, here we go. So the Connecticut Sun have their own first round pick in 2025 and 26. They don't have a second round or third round pick in 2025, but they do have their second and third in 2026. And they have both their second and third in 2026 and 27. So if I had to guess, with Marina Mabrey and them being a championship caliber team, they're probably going to send at least a 2025 first round pick And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a second or third in 2026 as well from Marina Mabrey. You still got to match salaries, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the base. So
yeah, and then there's rumor that we might get Mariah Jeffries in that. I'm not mad with that at all.
I'm not mad at Mariah Jeffries in it at all. Like, I'm not mad. Like, at this point, honestly, whatever the Sky get back as far as talent wise, as long as it's not like long-term bad salary, which the Sun really don't have, I'm not mad at that. Jeffries also, is she a free agent at the end of the year? Jefferson, I should say. Sorry, I said Jeffries. No, she's actually under contract to the end of next season. So you get another veteran in here that can help the Sky keep learning the right things. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I like it. She got a solid game. She make a lot of tough shots. I like the way she play. So I'm now I'm wondering how this new lineup gonna be. But I know one thing: C Dub about to be sick.
C Dub about to be listen. First of all, C Dub, shout out to prayers up to C Dub. This picture. Yeah, listen, he loves him some Marina Mabrey, bro. Like
Brian,
he loves some Marina. Chris, let me kind of tell you the reason why this does make sense, Chris. Your thought process between getting a top 10 shooter is if the Sky were looking to make a move now to be a title contender. This is a long-term move. If you end up getting a top 5 or your own pick turns top 5 into this, that is a better move than getting something right now because you're then getting a young player that pairs with Camila Cardoso, Kennedy Carter, and Angel Reese. So I get what you're saying because you're not getting equal talent back, but it's not always about the talent you get right at the onset. It's about what you're getting in the long run, and that's what I got to look at for. So. No, listen, John, I got to disagree with you. You got to keep in mind, this is the WNBA. There are only 13 picks next year. Getting a first round pick, especially in next year's draft, that's a good. For Marina Mabrey, that's a good pick. It just is. So, but we'll see, man. We'll be back live once the trade officially goes down. We have a little bit more to talk about. We just wanted to bring this breaking news because we were both shocked as hell by this deal. So we'll see what happens, man. Yeah, definitely fun times.
Caught me off guard.
Yeah, listen, I was expecting it to be quiet at least through the All-Star break. If anything happened, I expected over. When is the official trade day? It's not till August, right?
It's August. I forget. It's in August. I know that. I think it's August 20th. If I'm not mistaken.
That's August 20th. You're right. So, I mean, this is over a month before the trade deadline. So we'll see what happens, man. So
yeah. And they said in that same article, it said they might be looking to move Dana as well. So who's to say what might happen over this break?
I mean, listen, we said that this team could look different or could look the exact same. We both kind of thought maybe signing a player would have been it, but it seems like they're making a move to maximize their draft pick. And I tell you what, if you can get in that lottery and get lucky, listen, that I'm just telling y'all that's complaining right now saying this is a dumb trade. I know that it's going to suck to see the Sky lose over the second half of the season, but you can't tell me that if the Sky get a lottery pick and end up being able to draft either Kiki or Paige, that y'all going to be saying that it was a dumb thing then. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, It is what it is. Like I said, it was going to be tough to keep this core as it is together anyway, hard as it is, and they're going to keep the youngest anyway. So you got to match up the age, you got to match up the contracts, and it is what it was. We were struggling to stay what it was, so they was probably thinking they could still be in the same place, if not worse. So yeah, I understand the move.
Yeah, I understand.
And that's another thing. We don't. This a new GM. We don't know how he is. He's we still learning his tendencies. We don't know how he is.
One thing that we do know, though, is that he is aggressive. When you look at it, once they made their decision, they tried to get Skylar. They wanted to try to get NECA in here to pair with Kalia Copper. Literally, the end of that week, when both those players signed with a different team, we traded Kalia Copper. We got the number 3 overall pick. About 2 weeks later, we got the number 7th overall pick, and we started making our move. So the one thing about this GM and Jeff Pagliocci and what he does is that once he chooses a path, he sees it through. Now we just got to see if we're going to come out on the other side side of this, making the right decision. So,
facts. Let's see how it goes.
All right. Any last thoughts, Steve, before we get up out of here, brother?
Nah, just stay tuned. Never know when the news gonna drop.
Yep, stay tuned. Once the news drops, we drop. But love you guys, man. Make sure you guys are following the channel at Chicago Sky Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, Chicago Sky Central at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail, number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related. We'll see you guys again probably today when the trade is